Welcome back, South Jersey football fans and New Jersey football fans, to the South Jersey Football Frenzy show. Here we got state finals coming up. We got them in public, we got them in non-public, and we got a lot to talk about. To recap what happened in the sectional finals last week, this is the best time of year, not just here but everywhere in the country, as football playoffs are down to the nitty-gritty. Big show for you today. We're going to talk all the finals, all the semifinals, and we're going to talk with Cedar Creek coach Jimmy Melody, who has played a number of these programs over the last 2 years. 7 of the 14 teams remaining that we normally touch on, he has faced them. So he'll be able to give us a little bit of a breakdown. We thank him in advance. Here from Studio B with Coach Tim McAneney, Mark Trible. Thank you to South Jersey Glory Days for putting us on. Here we are. Mac, we could have 4 of the 5 state finalists in the inaugural public state finals. What do you think?
Right. I mean, we're down to the Final Four now. Exciting time, as you just talked about. I mean, would be huge for South Jersey to get that type of representation. And then, you know, we'll talk about state week. It's state week, but it's now getting to state, right? Getting to the state final. You know, we talked about before, being an opportunity to be in that game. That's what we're playing for, to get into that game.
Yeah.
And not only the fact that it's the inaugural state final in 2 weeks, but now you're dealing with fine lines of football teams right now. This is really the cream of the crop. It represents South Jersey well, but these are going to be some fantastic football games.
They are
this weekend.
And like you mentioned, cream of the crop, small margin of error. We talk about special teams, field position, defense, turnover differential. These are the things that make the biggest difference in this time of year, where every team is capable of going home with a ring on its finger. Let's recap real quick what happened last week, Mac. In Group 1, Salem won the Central Jersey Group 1 title over Paulsboro, 33-14. Ja'Kai Coates, 117 yards, 3 touchdowns passing. He found Omarion Pierce, kind of an unlikely hero there, for 2 of the touchdowns. And he ran for 1. Ramaji Bundy played well. He ran for a long touchdown, had a key interception. He also did his damage on special teams. And Woodbury won the South Jersey Group 1 final over Maple Shade, 36-6. Brian Johnson, 11-19, 221, 2 touchdowns, ran for 1. Found Ibn Muhammad for 2 of those touchdowns, a freshman phenom. Anthony Reagan Jr., what can you say about him? 172 rushing and a touchdown. In Group 2, Willingboro gets its 3rd sectional title since 2018 with a win over Gloucester, 20-7. Lamar Best threw for 169 and all 3 touchdowns. Kamad Rice caught 2 of them. Jarrell Taylor caught the other, and he had 2 interceptions. 2 sacks, too, from Gadiar Holloway. Rumson Fairhaven scores 17 unanswered in the 4th quarter to force overtime and wins in double overtime, 34-27 over Raritan. It's Rumson Fairhaven's 2nd sectional title since 2018. Owen O'Toole, 281 yards passing and 3 touchdowns in the come-from-behind win, the Shore Conference battle. Group 3, Camden High, 1st sectional title since 1976, 21-0 over Seneca. Seneca fought every which way they could with Braden Davis injured. Still, the Golden Eagles couldn't solve that Camden defense, which is so strong. Taquan Brittingham with a touchdown on the ground. Deontay Ruffin at 9 for 15, 81 yards. Huge win for Camden High. I believe they got both knots of our week. No? Okay. They do. I mean, Taquan Brittingham with the rush touchdown. He also had a 58-yard punt return touchdown. Jamie Tyson with a scoop and score of 27 yards for Camden High. Delsey gets their 15th sectional title in a 44-7 rout of Hopewell Valley. Jimmy Reardon got the nod in place of injured quarterback Mr. Maxwell. But Wayne Adair stood tall again. 10 carries, 136 yards, 3 touchdowns. And Jared Shoppy ran for 85 yards and 2 touchdowns, setting up what will be a promising state semifinal. We'll talk about all of these matchups moving forward here in a bit. Millville, I was there in the Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat game of the week, 18-16. 12 unanswered points in the 4th quarter for the Bolts. As they come from behind, they score in the last 2 minutes. They drive 83 yards in 100 seconds, capped by Naeem Sharp's touchdown run to win 18-16 against a Hamilton team. Had Kenny Smith run for more than 200. OBG is alive and well. Back-to-back sectional finals for them. I should also mention Salem was back-to-back sectional champ. as was Woodbury.
We got some teams that are in their heyday right now of some dominance. So it's
Yeah.
and they want to continue to ride that wave, and that's what this week's about.
The Bolts will take on Mainland, who upset Middletown South 34-24 on the road to win the Central Jersey Group 4 title. John Franchini, 147 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Cohen Cook ran from one, caught one. Jamie Tyson caught one, 91 yards receiving on the night for Mr. Tyson. Hunter Watson, Coach Watson's son, 69 yards scoop and score to seal it in the fourth quarter. In Group 5, both the West Jersey League teams fell. Lenape lost 28-14 to Edison. They were down 20-0 at the half. Mac was there. I'll touch on this in a little bit. And 2 first-half pick sixes helped spark Micah Ford and Toms River North in a 48-14 win over Kingsway. Ford ran for 264 and 3 touchdowns. Josh Moore ran for 226 and 2 touchdowns. 511 rush yards for the Mariners on 49 carries as a team. In non-public ball, St. Augustine fell 37-0 to top-seeded Don Bosco. Gloucester Catholic also fell to a top seed in Red Bank Catholic 62-7. Only one winner in parochial ball for South Jersey last week, and that was Holy Spirit, 50-21 victors over St. Thomas Aquinas. Sean Burns, 21-35 for 309 and 2 touchdowns. Gavin Roman, guy does it all for the Spartans, and this was no different in the first round of the playoffs. His senior year, 6 rushes for 63 yards and a score, 14 catches for 192 yards, and he had an interception. And Jasir Pops Ward, the big man, 4 rushing touchdowns. His Holy Spirit advances.
Yeah, and look, we talked about last week, St. Joe Hamilton too, advancing in a similar situation. We know it's not a first state title for the parochials, but if you're not following the parochial world, it's kind of not as, I don't want to say the word watered down, but there's no more 4. There's only 2.
Right.
There's only 2 sections.
2.
Just
not,
2.
It was 4, then it was 3.
Right. It was
2.
There used to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then they got rid of the 2, and now it's just 2 sides, big and small. So it's a really feather in the cap to whomever comes out of the parochials on the A and B side.
Yeah, we're going to preview those games. And remember, St. Joe won their game 2 weeks ago. They played in that first week, and they are going to play in the non-pub B semifinals this weekend as well. Both those non-pub games are going to be Friday night. We're going to preview them. We're going to preview the 5 state semifinals that will be at Cherokee for the public South Central teams on Saturday and Sunday. And also, we're going to take a brief look at the North Jersey Public State Semis, which will be held at Franklin High in what I've heard is kind of Central Jersey. North Jersey's not too pleased about the drives that they have to make. But we're going to touch on all that and then some here in a moment, as we have Coach Jimmy Melody is going to call in from Cedar Creek. So sit tight, share this thing out. We'll be right back after this.
The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road. Mall Chevy is South Jersey's largest Chevy dealer and has been a big part in helping our community grow. They're proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Mall Chevy is our area's go-to dealership with the largest selection of brand new Chevys and a huge inventory of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. They're located on Haddonfield Road across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or visit them at mallchevy.com. Special thank you to Dave O'Sullivan of South Jersey Glory Days, sjglorydays.com. South Jersey Glory Days brings us a platform that we've been on here for the last couple of years. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show would not be possible without him. Visit Sully's website, sjglorydays.com. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Located on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, it's been a big part in helping the community grow. Proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. Atlantic Chrysler Jeep Fiat. Tremendous selection of brand new cars and pre-owned vehicles. An award-winning service department. A presenting sponsor of the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. The show is also sponsored by Jersey Gridiron Scout. Coach Tom Padgick is Jersey Gridiron Scout, the premier recruiting service platform for all middle school and high school prospects in the tri-state area when it comes to football. Jersey Gridiron Scout does 3 things for football prospects. 1, they have a senior showcase in December and an underclassmen showcase in May for high school prospects to be evaluated in front of more than 50 colleges. 2, They have off-season winter indoor position trainings for youth, high school, and college prospects from January to June at the Fieldhouse in Moorestown. And 3, they educate families on the college football recruiting process and timeline. Check out Tom's website at jerseygridironscout.com for more information. Follow him on Instagram at jerseygridironscout and on Twitter at Coach Pajic. That's at Coach Pajic. South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Jeep on Route 70, home of the real zero down deal. For over 50 years, Cherry Hill Jeep's been a big part in helping the community grow, and they remain proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football.
Welcome back to the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show, here with Coach Tim McAneney, Mark Trible, as we're previewing all of the state semifinals. We're joined by Cedar Creek coach James, Jimmy, Unchained, Melody. Coach, are you on?
I'm on. You guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. How you doing,
What's
Coach?
going on, guys? I'm good. How you guys doing? You good?
Yeah, we're doing well. We're ready for a huge weekend. I know last year you guys went undefeated. You win the sectional title. You won the regional game. I'm sure you wish there was a state championship last year. Am I right?
I mean, absolutely. I think that team last year was primed to do some damage in that one extra game. But obviously, it's great that the state's doing this year. I think it's really making for extremely exciting next 2 weeks.
Coach, and when we look at these teams that are left, not just from South Jersey, but in the 7 games we're looking at, right? We got 5 state semifinals in public for Central/South, and then we got 2 non-pub teams. Well, I'm looking through this list. Camden, Delsey, Salem, St. Joe, Edison, Holy Spirit, and Willingboro are teams you've played in the last 2 years. A number of them you played this year. You got to see a lot of familiar faces here still left in these brackets.
A ton. This year alone, I mean, you just named all 5 teams, Salem, Delsey, Camden, St. Joe's, and Edison. We played, obviously, like you said, Willingboro we played last year. I mean, that's what it's all about, though. I mean, we're battle tested, but these are great programs that are still playing right now, and a lot of the programs you named, have a history of sustained success. So, they're put on a pedestal for a reason, and they're doing a great job this year, obviously.
Coach, I want to go down the list here. We're going to play kind of a word association. You give us one word that pops into mind when we tell you about these teams. First team let's talk about is Salem in Group 1. What pops into mind about preparing for them?
I mean, they're dogs. They're tough. And I think that Trey does such a great job of instilling that mentality in those kids. You guys know, Group 1 football, a lot of those kids play both sides of the ball. And they're relentless in what they're doing. We fell behind them early 20-0, and we made a game of it. It was 26-20 with like 6 minutes to go, but they made one more play than we did at the end of the day. But, they're just dogs. They're tough kids. And I think that's the mentality that Trey instills in those kids, and I think he does a great job with that. St.
Joe Hamilton, not a lot of numbers, but you say dogs. I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, again, that's a credit to Coach Sacco. I mean, this is, might be his last ride there. And I think that those kids bought into that fact. And, they've won a lot of close games. I think they've won a lot of games where people didn't think they were going to win. But he's done a great job of getting them ready on a week-to-week basis and, really pulling some wins out when, like I said, I don't think a lot of people thought they could.
Now, Edison, the team you saw battle at the beach, mighty impressive last week against Lenape as well. What stands out to you about them?
Physical. They were more physical than I honestly anticipated. They were very good up front. Obviously, we knew about, the quarterback being a 4-year starter. They had a couple wideouts that, are scholarship football players, but they kind of beat us up a little bit in the box. We took a 21-14 lead in that game with like 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, and the wheels kind of fell off for us a little bit. And, their experience took over a little bit, but very physical up front, more physical than I think that we anticipated as a staff.
Coach, I would imagine you, as well as everybody in South Jersey, looks at one matchup here and says, this is the one I think I'll pay my hard-earned money to see. Prior to the playoffs, we had them as number 1 and number 2 in South Jersey, Delsey and Camden. What stands out to you about these teams? You played both this year, similar results. What stands out about this matchup, man?
It's so hard to pick, who's honestly going to come out on top with that. Two very well coached teams, Coach Hinson, Coach Marchese, have done such a great job, in those two places right now. In reality, our offense's worst game was against Camden. I think that they did, they're very fast. They did some things that I didn't really anticipate them doing in a matter of just playing cover zero and loading up the box and saying, you got to block us up front in order to win this game. And, obviously they got tremendous players up front on the defensive line. I think their linebackers are underrated. I think that they're very fast. They have great team speed on the defensive side. And then on the flip side, when you talk about Delsey, our defense played great all year this year. Our defense's worst game was against Delsey. So if you really look at it, our defense's toughest task was against Delsey's offense, and our offense's toughest task was against, Camden's defense. So it's really such a tough game for me to pick as to who I think is even favored in that game right now. I don't know. And I know Coach Hinson's had history against Delsey when he was at Timber Creek, so he's going to be familiar with what they're doing. And I think the one thing that's underrated right now, and not a lot of people talk about it because I think their offense does such a great job, Delsey's defense is very good this year. They're physical. The guys on the back end run well. So it's really going to be an interesting game to see. In my opinion, it's going to be the state game of the week.
Right. I mean, Coach, you point out this Camden Delsey look. With what Delsey does on offense, there's an old adage, right? When you run the ball like they do, you're going to show up with a defense that's physical, that's tough, that's going to have guys up front. Can Delsey, can Delsey stop the big bang, the chunk plays that Camden High, has that ability to do? With being a speed type defense, the converse question is, can Camden knuckle up play after play after play? They're going to come up, fired up first quarter, but third, fourth quarter stuff, that stuff wears on you, as with that team.
It does, and here's the deal: not many teams around the state run the wing tee anymore. So the biggest thing, and again, we played Delsey in the state title game last year, in the sectional title game last year, and we kind of went into that saying to ourselves, we might have to spot them 7 or 14 points because we have to get acclimated to the speed of how they're running the wing tee. Because at the end of the day, it's very hard to prepare for the wing tee now because kids don't really run it through Pop Warner anymore. 10, 15 years ago, when I was, even longer than that, I'm getting old, but, when I was in Pop Warner, going through the youth program, we always ran the wing tee in Union. But when I got to high school, we didn't run the wing tee. But if we ever played a wing tee team, we knew exactly what was going to be coming for that. Kids nowadays don't run the wing tee in youth football anymore. Yeah. So it's really a new offense that you're seeing. So like I said, last year we went into it saying, we have to score offensively to keep up with them to get acclimated to the speed of the game. And, once we did that last year, I think our defense settled in. We were a very fast defense ourselves last year. And I think that Camden kind of mirrors us in that aspect, is that we ran very well. But you got to score with Delsey too if you're going to be giving up those points early. That's the thing, and I think that's the biggest thing, is getting acclimated to the speed of how they run that wing tee. It's hard to mirror that in practice.
Right. You don't have a scout team, or one typically doesn't have a scout team quarterback. They can be like a Vegas dealer that they do, and that type of offense has.
It's very hard. And I think Delsey's quarterback is a very underrated kid for the way that he runs it. He does a great job at that. And he's a very good athlete himself, but the way that he, carries out his fakes, hides the football, that whole deal, he's very good at doing that. So it's very hard to do.
It's almost akin to preparing for the triple, right? I mean, even though,
100%.
You are assignment football, and Hintz wants his defense to go fast, right? They want to go.
But you can't.
And you can't. And you got to have a lot of eye discipline too. So
you do. And that's the thing. So for us, for instance, and I'm sure some other schools have done this in playing them. A lot of our scout team, we use no ball. Just because we're playing assignment football, we're not going to use a football during our scout teams.
Well, Coach, there's a guy who coached for 50, 60 years who's not around anymore that used to play Bishop Eustace and Clyde Folsom, and he practiced without the ball in the 80s, getting ready for Clyde. So
it's tough.
Yeah, and as much as you do that, until you get on that field, you can tell your kids read keys, guards take you everywhere. And the real good ones with, as we know, Clyde and obviously Sal, the false keys are the ones that just, it's like the RPOs now. That's their RPO, that false key read where they pull the guard out and your linebacker's like, hold on, that's not right.
Yeah. and here's the deal. And here's the deal. They, we're asking them to play discipline because we have to, but at the same time, you got to play fast. But here's the deal. Those Delsey kids are extremely physical. At the same time. So you're going to be getting punched in the mouth at the same time. Now, on the flip side, the most physical brand of football we played all year was against Camden. So they were a very physical football team themselves. So it really is, it's a matchup that it's hard to say who exactly is favored going into it. It's just going to be a matter of who's going to adjust, I think, at the end of the day and make the right adjustments at the right time.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your insight on both of these teams. And as always, I think if we go down the list and look at who we've had as a guest caller, you're far and away first place. We love having you on, man. You're a good friend of the program. Thanks so much for everything you do. And thanks for joining us on short notice, Coach Melody.
And, Coach, kudos.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate everything you guys do.
Yeah, kudos to your schedule, too, Coach, because, obviously, you get your kids. You had a juggernaut that they had to go through. So your kids are playing dudes week in and week out, man. That's how you get them better.
Week in and week out, man. So we got to prepare that way. And big off season coming up because we're gonna have to knuckle up next year too.
Yes, sir. Yep. Good luck with that.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
Thanks for joining us, Coach. That was Coach James Melody of Cedar Creek, who, like we said, has familiarity with all these programs. Great stuff from him on kind of the matchup, and we are going to talk about that matchup. It gets no bigger than Camden and Delsey. But first, Mac, let's take a look at what else we have this weekend. We have so much. And if you're a high school football fan in South Jersey, you should be at Cherokee Saturday and Sunday. There is nowhere else to be. If you say, well, I'd rather sit at home and watch it on a stream. Hey, you know what? If you're sick, that's good for you. But if you're not, you should bundle up and get out there. This is high school football at its finest. We're at Cherokee High School, at the Bowl, Mac.
Right. Bring your RV.
Bring your RV.
Stay the weekend at the Bowl. We talked about it back in August. Well, how great would it be for the South Jersey quote-unquote champion who's going to represent us in the state final gets to win it on that Cherokee Bowl. I mean, and that's what a venue, what a place. And it kicks off. And I mean, there's no easing into the weekend.
No, there is none. And let me tell you, the first game might kick off early for some. But my guy Quincy Harvey, Slime, says he's going to be there way earlier and tailgating. Him and the Woodbury Thundering Herd fans. At 10:30 a.m. is the first kickoff.
Does Agnew know what's coming?
No, I don't think anybody knows what's coming. The Herd are coming. The Rams are coming. Kickoff at 10:30 a.m. in Cherokee. Salem at 8-4 against Woodbury at 9-2. This is the Group 1 state semifinal. Whoever wins this game could very well be the favorite to bring home the first state championship. Salem won this previous matchup 21-20. They scored twice in the final 5 minutes to come away with the win down on Walnut Street earlier this season. Last year they played in this stage of game at the regional championship in Rutgers, and Salem took that one handily. I think it was 34-8. These two teams have been the cream of the crop the last 2 years. Both sectional champions last year, and they bring it back this year. I love this matchup, Mac, for a lot of different reasons, not just because of the skilled players on both sides. But what I love about it is it's not a game where the specific game plan is going to be for the team you're playing. Woodbury is coming out with their squad, and they're saying, we're tired of you, Salem. We're ready to knock you off. And Salem is coming out with their squad and saying, we know how to beat you, Woodbury. We've done it twice in the last year. This is going to be fireworks, our best versus your best. We think we don't have to look at your film. We know what you got, and we're ready to take it to it. And not only that, people talk about Woodbury and Salem. If you were in the comments Sunday, you saw it. Woodbury and Salem is not Salem and Pennsgrove. These are not next-door neighbors. It might as well be a wall between them. I'm excited.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, when we talk about rematches too, last year's rematch, this year's rematch, 21-20, Woodbury feels like they're owed a little bit, right? They want to come collect, and you got Salem, who's basically in this world saying, "Yo, it's our section. It's our South Jersey. This is opportunity." Coach Wright, we want to play for that state final, and what you can't have a better matchup than these two. I mean, this is, and you're right. They're going to do. I mean, most teams in these situations are going to do what they do, right? They're watching film a little each other. But we've talked about this, and I'm going to be the boring old coach about turnovers, special teams, that hidden yardage in there. This will come down to that play or two. Maybe. Would you bet against this thing not going overtime? I mean, this thing, wow. This is how these things go in Group 1.
It reminds me a little when you beat RV, Mac, for your sectional title. Teams so evenly matched. Played in the regular season. You could see it again. That year was 10-7 in the regular season. RV beat you guys, and then you beat them in the championship 10-7. And you look at Salem and Woodbury. It could be a one-point game again at the Bowl. Saturday morning. One thing I love is how balanced these teams are. They can run it, they can pass it, they play great up front, they stop the run. There are playmakers at every position. Special teams, you look at that. Jabron Solomon as a punt returner is one of the best. Well, you know what? Mr. Bundy, Ramaji Bundy over at Salem is another one you probably don't want to kick to.
And then you got in the kicking game for Salem, right? I mean,
yep.
You mean it's they can. They got field goal ability. They can flip the field with their punts. I mean, you talk about situational. We've all been in them, but the game that you speak of. I mean, the hidden yardage at the end of the game, getting plus 45 to flip a field, to get a punt, to get a first down, those type of things. Like these are type of games you might have fireworks for 3.5 quarters, and then everybody's kind of like, all right, what's or vice versa, right? It might be the boxing match where they're playing rope-a-dope for 12 rounds, 13 rounds, and then where's the haymaker left hook coming? So that's the beauty of these matchups. I mean, nobody can definitively say this team is this much or that better than this team. Yeah. You want to be strong up front. You want to be able to handle up front. Pass, run, what have you. Can you get to their quarterback? Right? Can you get to the quarterback? Can you win the plus minus in turnovers?
Turnovers, special teams, and where does the special teams for Woodbury, how do you keep it so it, their punt and their kickoff, their punt and their field goal is not what it is for Salem. So, but again, they're so dynamic in terms of how they can score and flip the field that way. And I love both quarterbacks in this matchup, Johnson and Coates, both experienced, veteran, excellent quarterbacks. Anybody will want them on their team. They can do a little bit of everything. The running backs are very good. This is really, Mac, whoever plays better on Saturday morning. I mean, any matchup you handicap, and we don't handicap anything, but this one would be a true flip the coin, pick them.
You got to pick them, right? With no home field. You got to pick them, neutral site. So that's why we got to look into the little things, the field positioning. I mean, you're the ones that go. You're going to have all your scribble down written that I can't read during the game. I'll be looking over your shoulder. But these old eyes will tell you. I'll be elbowing you, going, "Yo, Trib, so and so starting on the 35 right now. The other team's starting on the 15." To me, that's a plus 20. I mean, that stuff starts to add up, and and if you can put points on the board different ways. I mean, that tends to, in these type of games, sometimes the difference. But I think paramount is turnovers.
Yes.
Or controlling the football. I don't want to wish turnovers on anybody. I don't want any turnovers in this game. I don't want any penalties in this game. But we all know it's high school football. There's probably going to be a turnover or two, and there's probably going to be a couple penalties. So if you can control the controllables, take care of the football. Take care of the football, guys. I mean, that's a difference maker.
That is going to be a classic. So that is at 10:30 on Saturday at Cherokee, Salem, and Woodbury. At 11 a.m. on Sunday is the Group 2 state semifinal. Willingboro versus Rumson Fairhaven. Willingboro has just been on a roll, and they continued that roll against Gloucester last Friday night. Coach Everett, the man in black. He wore his black suit with his black shirt, and he was ready for business, and he got that championship again. Congratulations, Coach Everett. Lamar Best at quarterback has been spectacular. The defense has been fierce. They have skill across the board. I think that game against Point Pleasant Borough helps them here because Point Pleasant Borough was just rolling along in the Shore Conference. Here's Rumson Fairhaven got their Shore Conference team. They beat another Shore Conference team. Owen O'Toole, 281 yards passing last week and 3 touchdowns. He led that fourth quarter comeback, like I said, against Raritan. And Rumson feels like they have the lucky penny. But Mac, Willingboro right now is playing at a different gear. And we'll see if they can come home with this thing. But I know one thing. I wouldn't bet against them.
No, but when you look at this one, if you're saying, you know, we know this, the Group 1 is both 2 South Jersey teams, perennials. Here, I think you kind of, as a South Jersey guy, you want to play Rumson. I mean, Rumson has been the perennial, you know, this is what, you know, did we think Willingboro would be here in the beginning of the season? Maybe, maybe not. But now they've, over the last 4 or 5 weeks, my gosh. And then Rumson pulling out what they pulled out. But that's the pedigree in their program. Mm-hmm. This is their 2nd title in the last 5 years. This is Willingboro's 3rd title in the last 5 years. These are the perennials, so to speak, in the Group 2s. So having this type of matchup, different styles, right? I mean, you can Rumson slow down, not to use the herd, you know, the Willingboro offense? Can they keep it to a minimum?
Well, Mac, we mentioned year in, year out. One team we always point to is that Shawnee team of strength of schedule, right? Willingboro at one point this year was, Rod, correct me if I'm wrong, they were 1-5. Is that what they were? Look that up. I mean, they're 6-5 now.
Yeah,
a team that really, you look at them and say, I got to think they're better than this record.
Wait,
when things start rolling through,
look, you don't.
The next thing you know, here they are, and they look at back at their schedule and they say, we think we can beat anybody because not only have we done a lot already this playoffs, we took home the sectional title. We've played with everybody. Yeah, like Kevin said, they were 1-5 after Pensacola. I mean, that's a team that knows, and Kamad Rice has said it here on the show. That's when we knew. We're 1-5, but we're a lot better than 1-5.
Well, look, it's easy now or for us to sit here and say what they've done. I mean, Coach Everett and staff, right? I mean, you're 1-5, and the way they lost to Pennsauken, I mean, late fumble, scoop and score, you know, Eagles, Herm Edwards type stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, Willingboro could have packed it in and handed in their stuff and said, you know what, it's not working out this year. But they tied it up together.
Yeah, you guys are right. 1-5. They played Ramapo. They lost to Ramapo, 48-20. Mm-hmm. They lost to Timber Creek, who at the time was looking to be one of the better teams. Mm-hmm. They lost to them 22-8. They won against Del Rand 31-0. Mm-hmm. Then they came back and played St. Joe's. And that game was a 14-7 game that they lost.
Right.
And then Camden East Side, they lost to 14-12. And that final one was at the Pennsauken game, and they lost that 31-28 on the last second play.
Yeah. And a game, and I like what Jamark Best said in here. They didn't get bitter, they got better.
Well, yeah.
And a call back a couple of weeks ago, my mom said in the comments, I need to give her credit for this. And if Coach Everett, if you guys go all the way and you end up patenting some T-shirts, there might be some residuals going back to Betty Ann Trible. She said, they're not Willingboro, they're Winningboro. Yep. And that's exactly right. They were willing, and now they're winning. I like that.
And I like the bitter to better because, you know, you never know what's happening inside the locker rooms, inside the coaching office, and, you know, what was what wasn't working, what was working. You know, the good programs, nothing gets really out the doors typically of what, you know, I mean, guys get hurt. You know, your Group 2 program, if you miss a guy for a little bit, you know, a guy that maybe you might not be a headline guy, but, you know, fill in the blank. You know, a guy, you know, you might be, say, a center or somebody, an offensive lineman. You know, you start getting all the parts together, and then you start clicking, and then, you know, with coaches and keeping everybody on the right track. You know, this is a program that does all their stuff in the offseason too. I mean, they're guys. You know, if you're not doing the offseason stuff, the January to June stuff, it's really easy to kick it down the road.
How about you flip it around too, Rod?
Just one more thing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about their first 5, but the last 5 games, they've probably averaged over, I'm just doing a quick average, over 35.
Yeah.
They put up 34, 42, 50, and 20. Mm-hmm. So their offense start clicking as well.
Well, and to that point, when you're Coach Everett, and he said on the show, this is a typical Willingboro team. Start slow and come on down the stretch. So when it's coaches that have been there before and say, look, guys, we're 1-5. This does not matter. The guys you know, the guys you played with, you grew up with, whatever, they'll tell you. We know how to hit a sprint like Carl Lewis at the end of the season.
Right.
And let's make it happen. So Willingboro, that quarterback is special, Anthony, absolutely. Mr. Best is getting better and better and best. And they're going to play Rums at 11 a.m. on Sunday, the Group 2 state semifinal. Group, like Kevin's got a feature on Lamar coming up too, so be sure to tune that out on NJ.com. Tune into that, I mean. Group 4, Millville and Mainland, 2:30 p.m. on Sunday. Now, 2 of the best players in South Jersey are on the field. Jabril Mace, Latsier Brooks. A lot of coaches trade their arm and a leg from one of these guys. They're going against each other in what is going to be a great game. Now, Mainland goes up to Middletown South. Mainland's bracket got a little funky, right? Long Branch knocks out Pensauken, 7 seed. Mainland gets them at home, takes care of business. Go up to Middletown South, a team that played pretty well and perennially pretty good, Shore Conference team to take care of business. Millville, on the other hand, played in the toughest conference that we have in the West Jersey Football League, or division, I should say. Lost to Lenape by 5, but other than that, lost to Irvington by 8. Yeah. Got it done, right? Defense, low scoring. They get last week, they sneak out of Hamilton with a win. It looks like this is destined to be a great game, Mac. It's going to be on turf, no rain, which Millville is probably pleased about. Mainland, maybe not as much. Mainland can run that thing. Franchini at quarterback is making things happen.
Well,
and Zamat just drove his team down to win the game.
Right.
83 yards.
You know, you mentioned the path to here, right? One of the, Millville was a familiarity breeds contempt. Like the teams know Millville. The Hamilton knows they're in the backyard, right? Whereas Mainland goes up, Middleton South is like, hold on, we're Middleton South, and we hear about this Mace kid, and we watch him on film, and this, that, and the other. Well, this guy shows up, and Mr. Mace put on another show. Millville's not going to be, they know who he is, but Mainland also knows who Millville is.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I'm sitting here, if I'm prognosticating or I'm trying to look at this, and I'm like, all right, if you're a Mainland fan, you want the ball, keep the ball, control the ball, score the ball, and then, you want to limit those possessions for Millville. Because Millville wants to, they're 4x100. They want to go, and they got the dudes to go. And, Brooks last week, I'm watching that play. I thought he morphed. I thought he, disappeared.
Well, he did. He was in front of me, disappeared.
Fourth, bang. He split 2 guys, and it was and Hamilton had it defended. I mean, they had the play defended. I mean, it was, and so there's probably only, I was going to almost say handful, but there's a one full guy in the state that makes that play.
Well, that's right, Mac. And
not a handful.
And when you look at these teams, you can look at it one of 2 ways, and depending on which team you're supporting. If you're in the Mustang Corral and you're picking out your green, or whether you're OBG all the way through, you can look at this through whatever tinted lens you want to look at. Hamilton had Millville dead to rights. Hamilton's a run team with a good back, a great back. Mainland, the same way. They can run it with a back that's pretty darn good. He may be the best in South Jersey. Or do you look at it as Millville and say, guys, we just played this offense.
We've seen the
and not only
movie.
that, we practiced against it. And when we needed a stop at the end of that game, we got to stop. 3 times in a row, called timeout, got it back. We've seen it. We know it. This is not in the rain. It's not soggy. We think either way you want to go into it, right? You're a Mainland fan, say, we know the recipe, and we got the recipe right here. Or if you're Millville, you say, the recipe didn't work last week. We won by 2.
We jokingly say, hey, I said off camera, hey, Mainland's going to run the ball 50 times, right? And they're going to give it to, and if Mace going to carry it 40, right?
Yeah.
Saying that, it might come down to the 6 or 7 times that they don't run the ball,
Right.
and what they do. They don't want to be in the third. Nobody wants to be in third and eights, right? The only teams converting third down seems to be is Washington. Yeah. Nobody loves that third down, especially third medium, third long. But Mainland doesn't mind being third and short, third 2, third 3. What do they do on first down? When do they take those shots? When do they? It's always that play action decision is always a tough thing when you have a strong running game, because it's easy to say, hey, let's go play action now. But you're like, well, we just got 6 as a chunk. Yeah. Do I really want to go play action if I'm getting 6 a chunk?
Right.
So I mean, it's if Mace is getting 6 a chunk, you're going Mace.
It's a big issue that we talked about too before the show of what defines this game. And I do want to agree with what Kevin said. And he said Ordilly and Cook are big for Mainland. So is Jamie Tyson. When you look at this in an NBA jams type setting, right, 2v2 or top 2, whatever on the field, you're thinking you got Mace and you got maybe Jamie Tyson, right, can make a huge play on offense. You got Zamat and you got Brooks or Teron Hale, right, who picked up a big offer today from South Carolina. What about Naeem Sharp? Mm-hmm. What about Cohen Cook? These are guys that make these teams go, and teams hate to game plan for them. They might be the guys that end up the hero. I mean, we could say whatever we want about these drives, but Millville's second touchdown in that game that brought them within 6 points was a 4th and 2 at the 8-yard line. And who got the ball? Naeem Sharp.
Yeah,
and that's who scored it.
He's tough.
So these guys will see.
Well, Millville will tell you he's got to go for them to go. I mean, if you're Millville.
Oh, no question about it, right, Ron? I mean, you saw it.
He's got to.
They have to get the run game going, because that's the balance of their offense.
Right.
It may not seem that way. It may seem like they're a big play offense, but it all starts around that run game.
It does.
Right. If you got to sink the 8th, 8.5, you got to cheat to stop. Look, and the coaches at Millville, they're patient as well. I mean, they're sitting there saying, we're hearing Mace, Mace, Mace. If they're getting chunk runs, if they're controlling the football, now what happens is you start falling asleep in the secondary. Next thing you know, Brooks is he's doing whatever behind you. He's done.
Well, you got 2 really good linebackers over Mainland in Watson and J.J. Sinclair. And then when you look at Millville's front and how they run that 3-3-5 stack, they do an excellent job in terms of stop. Now, we talk about what Kenny Smith did last week. He had 2 big runs. If you isolate those explosive plays, which you have to give Kenny credit for that. But Mainland was not getting gashed by the run, is what I mean. There were 2 pop plays. It wasn't like 7, 6, 8, 10 moving down the field. It was 3, 2, 4, 66. Now you can't, obviously, Mace can go 66 as well, but
coaches will
they
tell
weren't
you,
getting gashed.
Run guys typically want to run against the 3 front, right? So now Millville's going to throw the 3 front. The question is how many of the back 5 have to pay attention to play action passing. I mean, you're going to have an 8-man box if Millville's going to put an 8-man box in there. Do they kick another guy down, banging? Do they X and O wise? They're going to give some different looks for Mainland, which as a run team, they're used to that stuff.
Yeah. See, here's my question. We know how good Smith is, but at this moment, I mean, just a little bit better than Smith right now is Mace. He's the real deal.
Yeah. Right.
So
Smith is young. He's a sophomore.
He's young. He's a sophomore. Where some of those runs I was watching, he was kind of trying to make them big plays, and it turned into a loss.
Mace is a man.
Right. So I'm just looking at common denominators, like common games, common opponents. So they both played Hamilton, and Mainland won that game 29-14. So this past weekend, we saw, obviously, Millville, Hamilton, 18-16 game. So the question is, the defenses, how stout will they be against the air raid and against the run game?
Right.
So we just saw, like I said, Smith, 51-yard run, and I think he had a
66 and
66.
51-yard
How-
touchdown.
So how does that balance out?
On this one, I would be like, how funky does Mainland have to get on defense to stop the run? If they don't have to overly if they don't have to like really
You mean
sell out.
Millville?
No,
Oh, Mainland.
Mainland to stop
Millville's run.
Millville's run.
So they can help on the back
so
end.
they can help on the back end.
Got you.
Right.
The secondary can support the back end, because we all know you're sitting there, you're in Mainland's coach's office going, we can't, this guy can't kill us. You know, best player.
Well, you have to high-low Lazio Brooks, or else you're going to lose the game. I mean, because we saw the first drive, or
Yeah.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
There was not high-low.
They caught him in
and
man-to-man.
they threw it right over
Yeah.
the top.
So, okay, so when you high-low one dude, which is what I think anybody who's watched him play would agree with that, can the other 8 stop the run?
Like Charles Barkley says, the others.
The others, right?
Well,
the
that's
others.
true.
Can the others stop the run? And then on the flip side, to what Rod's saying, now you say Millville's prepared for Hamilton. They've prepared for Kenny Smith.
Yeah.
This is all due respect to Kenny Smith.
He's young in the game.
2 years from now, we'll talk about Kenny Smith like this, right? Yeah.
Right.
He's young. Mace is he's gonna be a lot more patient with stuff. His foot will go in the ground quicker. He'll get vertically quicker, and he'll be a little more punishing. Tackling Mace the whole day.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's a consideration. And as Tyrone points out here, they both did play Ocean City this year. With Mainland's lone loss was to Ocean City, and
Right.
Millville beat them by 40.
Which
which
is
is different course of the year. I understand that, but you
which
can't say like, oh well, they both played Hamilton.
Right.
It's a great matchup. Again, I think the turnover differential and special teams is huge. I will say this Millville team, everyone on that team last year won a championship. They came back and defended it. And they played a tougher schedule. There's no question. I think if you come into this, you'd have to say the slight edge coming in is probably to Millville based on what's on paper. However,
I agree.
However, we have seen guys like Jabril Mace, Cohen Cook, J.J. Sinclair make the difference in big games with guys like Tim Watson and Clive Folsom on the staff as well. So this one has, I think, more subtext and more sub-layers to the game than maybe our game of the week or our Salem
The Group 1.
and Woodbury game.
This
Could go a number of different ways. I think those other games, we kind of know where they're going to go.
You're absolutely right. This is probably the more intriguing game because, I mean, both teams. I've never seen a team like Mainland who loses one game. In some people's eyes, are a huge underdog.
Right.
So,
But the game they lose to is a kind of a head scratcher.
it's
right?
like the second game of the season.
But it's
One of
and
those,
it's
yeah.
Ocean. No, all due respect, Ocean City wasn't the Ocean City.
Right. They weren't last year.
They were last year. So, this one, if I'm, I'm on the sidelines this past Friday, and I'm like, and Edison's we'll talk about Edison's a better football. They have more dudes than Lenape. But if you're rooting for, you're just like, if Lenape can just keep within a score, and that's what Hamilton did. Hamilton's sitting there going, we did exactly what we wanted to do,
Exactly.
and Millville still broke our hearts.
They needed 10 yards to win the sectional
one
title.
first
They didn't
down.
get it. And
One
they-
or one tackle,
one stop.
or
One
one
tackle.
tackle.
Yeah.
One tackle.
And when we talk game of inches, the football cliche, that explains it.
Tackling that guy though, it's a whole different story.
Yeah. 2:30 p.m. on Sunday. That is that Group 4 state semifinal with Millville and Mainland at Cherokee. A couple other here. Let's talk non-pubs. Well, Group 5 also, 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. Edison and Toms River North. We mentioned what Toms River North was able to do. We said last week they're probably the prohibitive favorite to win Group 5. I think last week highlighted that a little bit more, winning by 34 against a good Kingsway team. Running for 500 yards. Micah Ford may be the state player of the year. And here comes Edison, a team that, is frequently counted out. Would they beat North Brunswick? They lost them in the regular season. Would they beat, I forget who their first round opponent was, but they were on the road for that. They were a 6th seed. Would they beat Lenape? They were up 20-0 at halftime. Edison with Matt Yasko at quarterback. I mean, this is Big Central versus Shore Conference. This is going to be a pretty good game at 5:30.
It is. Right? It's almost like, I don't want to say Edison's a poor man, Toms River North, but Edison got no problem lining up unbalanced, pulling a guard, QB run. Yasko, he reminded me of a friendly five I used to know, because that kid, he made great decisions, put his foot in the ground, got north-south. Lenape does cut it to a 20-14 game. To their credit, they're in halftime kind of kicking stones, and they're like talking about, coach is like, Woj is like, guys, we need one play, one stop, and they got it. They got the stop, they got the turnover, and now they make it 20-14 on a fourth down play, and then Edison goes 80 on him.
Yep. And
it was a Yasko. He ran the ball. I turned around to who I was watching it with, and I said, Mr. Catani, principal, Lenape, I said, this kid touched the ball 7 out of 8 times. And to their credit, to Edison's credit, they're giving the ball to their dude at the time, and they went down and made it 27-14. Toms River North played against them twice in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Coach, they don't need to be sexy. The 500 yards isn't on double reverse. Maybe not even too many counters. It is, they're going to formation you. They're going to put dudes on the other side of the ball. A lot of pointing. Defensive line will be like kicking down. Right. And they're going to say, we're going to take our guys and we're going to beat up your guys.
Right.
And we got Micah Ford.
Yeah.
And we're not going to overthink this thing.
So there's a little bit of homer person playing in this game. Tariq Council, 6'4", junior, wide receiver, DB. Played at Centerville Simbas, originally from Camden,
right, yeah.
Moved out there. But let me just say, this team is loaded with a lot of sophomores and juniors. Mm-hmm. For them to be back in this game, and you would think they're senior heavy, these guys are coming back next year.
Yeah, it's when they showed up at our place in 14, I was like, whoa. And it came down to, again, it reminded me of the Eagles. Like, they converted, Henny and I talked to after the game, like, they converted like 12, 13 third downs. And the question's going to be, I didn't see the film against Kingsway. Something tells me those second and third down conversions with 500 yards rushing were pop throughs, people selling out to stop that 3rd and 3. When you're selling out to stop the 3rd and 3 and there's a spitter through it, and you got one guy left to get him on the ground, and he doesn't, the 3-yard gain becomes the 35-yard run. Yep. And that's what you saw a lot of. But, everybody's like, oh, ifs and buts and shoulds and coulds. And as we used to say, good teams make mediocre, or other good teams look bad. Right. We played really bad. Well, did we?
Yeah.
Did we play bad or did they make us look silly because they're really good?
Right.
And some of that happens with, and to Rod's point, Toms River North, I don't know where they get them. They just keep.
They're coming back. They just keep rolling them in.
They keep rolling them in.
And like Chris made the statement, they have a 6'8" freshman that's playing. Yeah. So, they're loaded. They're loaded.
Very, very good.
And they're coming back next year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Scary.
They're not going away.
They're going to be there 5:30 p.m. on Saturday night at Cherokee against Edison in the Group 5 state semifinal. Real quick, we are going to get to the non-pub Group B 2 previews, but real quick, I do want to give a shout-out to the public matchups in North Jersey, and these are going to be at Franklin High School over the weekend. Our guy, Dwayne Morris, always helps us out. He gave us a little bit of a primer on these teams. We got in North 1, Mountain Lakes, the Herd, 10-1 overall. Only lost to Caldwell. Got Nico Dunn, Ben Miniter, Dylan Brown. Power run game, strong defense for the Herd. They're playing weak way. The Indians, who are 10-1 out of the Super Football Conference as well, beat Immaculata, or lost to Immaculata. That's the non-pub. That's their only loss of the season. Rashawn Marshall, more than 1,500 rush yards, 17 touchdowns. Tahid Simmons at linebacker, 73 tackles. Same formula as the Herd, be strength on strength, power run game, strong defense. In Group 2, we have some comments in here earlier about Caldwell. They have not lost since 2020. They have a 26-game win streak. Luke Curzum at quarterback ran through for 1,500 yards this season, 15 passing touchdowns, and ran for 3. Joey Marinello, 938 rush yards, 13 touchdowns. Julian Casale at linebacker, 77 tackles for the Chiefs. They're 11-0 out of the Super Football Conference as well, and they're going to face Westwood, who's 11-0. Westwood has Jack Dugan, 1,000 rushing yards and 22 touchdowns. Robbie Karsich at quarterback, 1,200 passing yards and 957 rushing, almost 1,000 of both, 21 total touchdowns. This should be a pretty good game. Strong front seven for Westwood, but Caldwell seems to be the team to beat up there. That's what we're hearing, but we'll see. You know, this is North Jersey football. We are not experts on North Jersey football yet. In North 3, West Morris, the Wolfpack, 12-0, Super Football Conference. Stefano Montella, 2,300 rushing yards and 30 touchdowns on the ground to go with 128 tackles on defense. If he were in South Jersey, I have a feeling Stefano Montella would have been wearing the hat one of these times.
With 100,
am I right?
I
mean, geez, oh man, 30 touchdowns,
Yeah.
2,300 rush yards, and 128 tackles?
he's playing.
That's an all-state player.
That's Group 3, right?
Yeah, it's for the Wolfpack.
Yeah. Wow.
Unbelievable.
I want to know this. Do you
Yeah.
think the North is? You think the North show that runs the the North Jersey Frenzy show is talking about the South Jersey games like we are? Like we're giving a little bit of.
I think they watch every week, those guys.
He said the North Jersey
Yeah,
Frenzy
and
Show.
the North Jersey Frenzy show. The host has a great head of hair, and the co-host is bald as a rock.
it's
like Bizarro World.
Seinfeld.
100%.
Yeah, we
100%.
walk up on them and we're looking at ourselves in
That's
the
right.
mirror like, what's going on?
That's right.
North Jersey
We tune
guy.
in every week at Studio A. The old Tapan Golden Knights are going to play West Morris in this final. Old Tapan's a heck of a team. They rolled through Hillside there in the semifinals, I think by 3 scores. Tommy Caracciolo, I hope I got that right, 1,828 passing yards, 24 touchdowns. Aiden Heaney, running back, 1,100 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns. Dennis Delaney at DN with 71 tackles on the year and 8 sacks, and Jack Diggins at linebacker with 84 tackles. Offense can beat you through the air or on the ground. The defense gives up some points against good competition, but creates takeaways, Dwayne lets us know. The Wolfpack versus the Golden Knights in Group 3, West Morris versus Old Tapan. In North 4, we got Northern Highlands, the Highlanders. I saw them against Winslow in the opener up at Rutgers. They beat them. They only lost to Old Tapan, or they did lose Old Tapan. They lost 3 games. Old Tapan was one of them. Nate Johnson, 1,200 passing yards, 9 touchdowns. Pretty balanced team. And Zach Chastaka at linebacker, 132
Right, they played Lenape,
tackles.
right? They played Lenape up at
No, they played Winslow. Wayne Valley played
my
Lenape.
bad. Sorry.
All right.
I'll stay out of it.
Here we go. We got to stay out of it. Now, North Hunterdon, 11-1 out of the Big Central. They are the only team in those public semifinals in North Jersey that's not in the Super Football Conference. They're out of the Big Central. They beat Cranford and Randolph this year. They lost to Peaburg. Luke Martini, more than 2,000 pass yards, 22 touchdowns. Running back, Kente Edwards, 1,259 on the ground and 12 touchdowns. 152 tackles for Alex Ernick. Heck of a player. North Hunterdon and Northern Highlands in the Group 4 semifinal up north. And then in Group 5, Passaic County Tech, the Bulldogs, 10-2. They got Treshawn Dye, running back, linebacker, almost ran for 1,000 yards, also has 117 tackles. They're very good defensively. They've only given up 8 touchdowns in the whole season, right? They had a big win the other night against Union City. I guess that was Saturday to advance to this game. And they're going to play West Orange. I got Coach Ab, the assistant coach at West Orange, the Mountaineers. He's a friend of the program. They're 8-3. Key wins, Watchung Hills, Ridgewood, Phillipsburg. Knocked off Peaburg in that
huge
sectional
big
title on the
win.
road.
Big win.
Big win against the State Liners. Sabor Kareem, 974 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. Amir Stewart, 1,100 passing yards, 12 touchdowns. He missed the first 4 games of the season. Jarvis Jones had a huge effort against Phillipsburg, 12 tackles and a pick 6. Stewart and Kareem are pivotal for this club. They lost to Passaic County Tech earlier in the season. Thank you, Dwayne, for all that information from North Jersey. We don't know it, but as years go on, hopefully we'll get familiar with these programs, and maybe it'll just be the New Jersey Football Frenzy show. Mac, what do you think?
We're still traveling to here, right?
Yeah. Now, we look at non-public Group B real quick. We got Holy Spirit at Red Bank Catholic Friday night at 7 o'clock. Sabino Portello and Red Bank Catholic ran through Gloucester Catholic last weekend, 62-7. They're big up front, can play press man across the board, and they know how to get it done. Portello scored 14 touchdowns this year. We talked about what Holy Spirit can do in terms of Burns, Roman, Ward. They got to score a lot of points in this game, but they're capable of doing it. That's Friday night at 7 p.m., the non-public B semifinals. The other non-public B semifinals, St. Joe at DePaul, 7 p.m. Friday. DePaul barely lost to Don Bosco, who's the top team in the state right now, I think many would say. They lost by 3 a few weeks ago. They're big favorites in this game. They crushed Immaculata 42-13 in the quarterfinals. Freshman quarterback for DePaul, Derek Zamet, tossed a trio of scores in that game. He is playing in place of injured starter Patrick Grosser. St. Joe and Holy Spirit, both big underdogs on the road. And also, for those of you who asked if Holy Spirit, what they were going to do about their Turkey Day game against Atlantic City, I know it's a big event. I think it's the 94th matchup. Some have asked what would happen if they win this weekend, because the non-pub B finals are supposed to be next weekend. What I have heard is that that game would be moved to Rutgers the following weekend.
Spirit wins. They'll play Atlantic City, and then they'll play Rutgers.
At Rutgers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mac, we're skipping the soapbox this week. If you have one, I apologize. We got too much ground to cover.
That's
unless
fine.
you want to give a brief synopsis of what it was.
In the days of pronouns, keep the pronouns to, instead of me, say us. And instead of I, say we. And instead of mine, say ours. It's football, guys. We win. Not I, not me.
Also, my soapbox, real quick. My thoughts and everybody's thoughts and hearts go out to those affected in the University of Virginia in the tragic incident that happened this week. I am obviously a native of the Commonwealth of Virginia and a Hokie all the way through, but Hokies are who's right now as we all unite across the country to support the University of Virginia and their football program. Our thoughts go out to the who's and those in Charlottesville. We will be back right after this with our preview for the Mall Chevrolet Game of the Week, the Group 3 State Semifinal, Camden and Delsea, the showdown. We'll be back.
The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is sponsored by TurnersvilleJeep.com on Route 42 in Turnersville. Turnersville Jeep is proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. TurnersvilleJeep.com has a huge inventory of Jeeps, Chryslers, Dodges, and Ram trucks, all brand new. They also have a ton of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department. Drive a little and save a lot at TurnersvilleJeep.com. They're located on Route 42 in Turnersville, or visit TurnersvilleJeep.com. The show is also sponsored by the West Jersey Football Coaches Association, established to promote, improve, and unite football in South Jersey. In less than 2 years, the association has created the Battle at the Beach and has dedicated itself to helping others. The association has donated more than $20,000 to date to provide scholarships and help those in need. South Jersey, let me tell you about my friends over at SRA Home Products, who also sponsor the show. SRA has been building sunrooms, pergolas, and patio covers for over 25 years. They have built more than 9,000 projects in the Delaware Valley. I've had the opportunity to be around owner Mike Fody, and I have nothing but the best things to say about Mike and his crew. SRA is a gold-accredited member of the Better Business Bureau under the elite provider status with Home Advisor, and they've racked up numerous Best of South Jersey awards in the past. They contribute to multiple sport associations and are huge supporters of Williamstown football. Find them online at srahomeproducts.com. Thank you to our sponsor, Ricky Moriello at Remax Community. If you or someone you know is looking for real estate in South Jersey, find Ricky and reach out to him. He's helped us bring this show to you each week for the last couple of years. We can't be more grateful for that. He knows where to find your real estate. Give him a ring at 609-352-9476. The South Jersey Football Frenzy Show is also sponsored by Cherry Hill Kia and Cherry Hill Mitsubishi on Route 70. If you want to talk about top-notch selection and service that's the best around, take your car to either of these dealerships. You won't be disappointed. And while you're there, you could probably talk some ball too. These guys love South Jersey football. Get over to Cherry Hill Kia or Cherry Hill Mitsubishi today.
South Jersey Football Frenzy Show Game of the Week is presented by Mall Chevrolet on Haddonfield Road. Mall Chevy, South Jersey's largest Chevy dealer. It's been a big part in helping the community grow, and they're proud to sponsor South Jersey High School football. They're the go-to dealership with the largest selection of new Chevys and a huge inventory of pre-owned vehicles, plus an award-winning 5-star service department located on Haddonfield Road across from the Cherry Hill Mall, or visit them at mallchevy.com. Take a selfie at our Game of the Week. It is going to be at 2 p.m. on Saturday at Cherokee. If you take a selfie there, you got a week to cash that baby in for free oil change at Mall Chevrolet. Mac, here we go. It is Camden and Delsey. It was before the season. We pointed these two teams in Group 3. As the season went on, we saw them. Neither of them have lost in the state. Camden lost in the opener in Ohio to a powerhouse. Ever since then, they've been clean. Delsey hasn't lost a regular season game since the COVID year, and they haven't lost this year at all. Here we go. We got backup quarterbacks playing for both teams, and Jimmy Reardon and I believe Candelero for Camden. Backups that had to come in due to injury. What a spot for it, right? Here we go. We got wing T versus throw it around a little bit, but we don't know what exactly we're going to see. We got good defenses. We talked to Coach Jimmy Melody of Cedar Creek earlier in the show. He played both. He gave a great breakdown if you need to go back and listen to that. What do you think here? This is strength on strength.
Strength on strength, but, let's talk about the quarterback situation first. I mean, when you're a wing T type thing, you might think, well, you're running the ball. You don't really need a quarterback. You just someone's got to hand the ball off. Well, it's a little more.
Not so fast.
Right. It's a little more than that there. That offense goes by that quarterback running the ball as well. They are a traditional looking wing T, obviously. But saying that, you might not ask that quarterback to do as much as you may need Camden High's quarterback to do. And that'll, these are games, these are the opportunities the stories are written about, right? Yeah. The kid who came in and directed the team and whomever that will be, there's going to be a kid who didn't start any football games and is going to lead his team to a state final. One of these guys winning.
Well, that's true, Mac. And for me, the matchup that is just really, really great is the interior and exterior line for Camden High and their front seven and how good they have been this year. I mean, they have given up next to nothing as the season's run down. And there is nobody that has been able to slow down Delsey's running attack with Wayne Adair and Jared Shopping. To see strength on strength in that way, we're going to run it.
Right.
We're coming at you. Right. Well, nobody runs it on us. Well, let's see. Well, that's where this game will be decided, in my opinion.
Right. Well, you're right. And, you got Coach Hintz and the defensive guys on Camden High who know how to game plan, know how to figure it out. We talked earlier in the segment about, they're playing fast. Does this type of offense slow down because you have to, something tells me you know, we've played some wing T teams, we ran some wing T ourselves. I mean, a lot of times you can be successful with, you know, giving a certain, you know, this is what your job's going to be. You're going to be coming down slanting. You're going to tilt the nose, whatever. We're going to cover the guards. We're not going to cover the guards. Whatever game planning you plan on do, Cam's going to do it fast.
Yeah,
they're going to do it fast. You know, conversely though, you play wing teams. You know, it's belly trap, power, wet, and then next thing you know, it's the belly reverse. And you know, are you gonna, you know, that 1980 Tubby Raymond play that they pull out of the dust, they blow off the dust, and you're like, and you're sitting, and the kid's running all upside the sidelines by himself. So Camden High, as much as, you know, we think it's going to be played in this phone booth on Delsey on offense, yeah, but you got to remember, on the other side, Delsey's got to stop Camden High's offense as well.
Well, there's no, yeah, for sure. I mean, but the prime matchup is that, and Mac, the other thing is, no matter what anybody would tell you, I think deep down these two sides knew the collision course, the same way the fans knew. I mean, there's an advanced scouting, right? We know down the line it's going to be through those guys, and vice versa.
Yes.
So there's a lot of, you go in week to week, but believe me, they've been thinking about this game for a while because it seemed just like they were so far head and shoulders above everybody else in Group 3, and they have been this year.
We've kind of known it was inevitable.
In South Jersey.
I mean, we've talked about it. We know that this was coming. Can Camden's defense get off the field?
Well, or can they have a guy score on defense, which seems like happens every week? And Rod, you do have the nod of the week, and it's a guy who scored on special teams, but he has scored on defense this year. Our guy Taquan Brittingham, Pop, got the hat earlier this year, and this is what he did against Seneca. Well, we lost it. Oh, well, he did have a punt return against Seneca. You got to trust me. I will say this. Thank you so much to Camden. We got the sweatshirt on Sunday, and we talked about the sweatshirt. And I said, if Delsey wins on the Hats Off podcast, there will be Delsey garb worn, depending on who wins that game. And here we go, Delsey football. So it is in hand. Whoever gets it on the Hats Off podcast. That's going to be Sunday night this week after all those games and not Sunday morning, so we can recap the whole weekend, Mac, here at Studio B.
3 games on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then podcast Sunday night?
That's right.
Yeah. I'll be back in town, though.
It doesn't get any better than this, and we're going to make sure we hit it as close on the head as we can. Now, I will say this, Mac. Next week, get some rest. Enjoy. We're all taking off next week.
We're off next week.
Enjoy some bird.
We're off next week.
Enjoy some bird next week. We're off.
I have one question.
Yeah.
Over under on, the sideline screaming, trap. What's over under?
Trap, yeah. Over under. It's probably going to be, I don't know. How many plays? It depends. It will be frequent.
Hey, newsflash for folks watching Delsey, every play it looks like trap. If you haven't seen Delsey play before, every play is going to look like a trap.
One thing that I enjoy, Mac, and this is full disclosure. We're talking about truth serum. Here it is. When it's we're good? Okay, we got to wrap up quickly. When it's fourth and short, sometimes I'll walk by a coach on the sideline and just say, "Watch the ball," and instantly, "Watch the ball! Watch the ball!" It's always fun. We're going to have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy the games. We got to get out of here, but this is the South Jersey Football Frenzy Show. Best of luck to everybody. See you at Cherokee on
Saturday
and Sunday. Big games. Group 1, Group 3, Group 5 in that order on Saturday. Group 2, Group 4 in that order on Sunday.
Take care of the football.
Take care of the football.
Special teams. No stupid penalties.
No Turkey Day preview. Sorry, Chris. We'll see you guys.